To say that 2020 was a great year for JRPGs would be quite the understatement. In a year where we've all been having to spend a lot more time inside due to quarantines, it seems quite convenient that this is the year that we happen to get a lot of series bests in a lot of JRPG games. We were very, very lucky. To be quite honest, a lot of the games that I will mention in this video could reasonably be any individual person's favorite game. So, I think that overall, if you're a JRPG fan like myself, 2020 has been a year where we can admittedly say we've been spoiled, and it'll be quite some time until we get another year like this, with some amazing games like my personal favorite, Persona 5 Royal, Persona 5 Golden being ported over to Steam, the new Yakuza game soon to be released, Final Fantasy VII getting a much, much, much highly anticipated remake after, all the years that we've been waiting for the masterpiece to get retouched on, along with, just a plethora of other games that I'll be talking about. I think that all in all, 2020 was just a really, really good year for JRPG fans, and it gave a lot of people the opportunity to find a game that they really enjoyed. So, if you're interested in that, then I hope you enjoy the video.
Every day's great at your tuneness.
So, we'll start off with a beloved game that was trapped on a not-so-beloved platform. But Persona 4 Golden finally broke its chains and made its way to Steam, a much more popular platform that is far more accessible. It was greeted with very, very positive praise on both Metacritic and Steam. A lot of people enjoyed the game, and a lot of people never heard of it before. So whenever the game was put on another platform, a lot of people got the chance to play it for the first time, which was a good thing, because Persona 4 Golden was a staple in the series. It might not have gotten as worldwide popular as Persona 5, but there's a reason that it was as loved as it is, and it still continues to gain praise today. Sure, the graphics can be a little bit dated, but with the PC port, they definitely did a good job making things a bit more smooth and, overall more appealing. I think that the game works wonderfully nowadays. I think that, of course, if you're a heavy graphics person, the game isn't going to look as wonderful as some of the other games you've played. I mean, it certainly isn't a Ghost of Tsushima or anything, but it's not all that bad either. The game's story far makes up for any graphical dating. It's a wonderful game, and if you haven't played it before, I definitely recommend trying it out. Overall, the game was very well received, and a lot of people were very excited whenever it was announced. I know personally, whenever I was watching the event that it was announced at, I was all in all disappointed with everything else except this reveal. So to hear it and finally get to replay it again, and yes, that is immediately what I did whenever the event ended, it was a treat. And I'm very glad that this game now has a place where it can remain up and not be locked to a device that could eventually get outdated and lost in time. Another exciting game to be coming out is Yakuza Like a Dragon. Now, I will preface this by saying I am still relatively new to the Yakuza series. My girlfriend just got me onto it not too long ago, and I've played Yakuza 0, and I do have the rest of the collection that I do plan on getting to when I have the time to play it. I think that the game is great, and I honestly keep regretting that I haven't started it sooner. However, Yakuza Like a Dragon, from what I'm aware of, I could be wrong here, but I'm not 100% sure. I know that it deviates from the original games where now there's a new protagonist, and the game looks really good from what I've seen so far. I know that it's coming out later this year, and I certainly plan on trying it out. Graphically, it looks really good, the gameplay looks really enjoyable, and it being a Yakuza game, we can already assume that the story is going to be top-notch without a doubt. This is just, in my opinion, I see this game as the cherry on top of the 2020 JRPGs that are coming out. I just think that the game is all in all really good looking, and I think it, while it's a new starting point for Yakuza, I think that since it's a modern game, and since Yakuza's been going on for so long, it might be a good starting point for a lot of people that haven't gotten into the Yakuza series. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that game, and if you haven't tried any of the Yakuza games, I highly recommend them. Next up is a game that's very near and dear to my heart. I remember a long time ago playing the 1997 version of Final Fantasy VII, and I played it multiple times after that because, to be quite frank, I fell in love with the game. I still to this day think that it's the best Final Fantasy game that's been released, and I know that's a point of contention because there's a lot of really good Final Fantasy games. But I will say that the remake is something that I waited for a very long time. Unfortunately, I have to say that I am one of those people that are really, really big on graphics. So unfortunately, the 1997 version of Final Fantasy VII did, I definitely wanted a newer look to it. And I got to say, Square delivered. It was a wonderful game, and stepping into Midgar for the first time and seeing the environments, it blew me away. I got a rush of nostalgia that I was not expecting, and it was a really phenomenal game. Now, I'm not going to get into any storyline details, because if you haven't played the game, please, if you can, play the game. It's very, very good. But I will say, anyone that has played the game knows that there was definitely some interesting things about this remake that a lot of people weren't expecting. I, for one, liked them, and I think that the game, all in all, was a really well-made game. And while, we do have this constant concern of, is Part 2 going to come this decade? That's a question that we'll have to wait and see about. However, I think that the Final Fantasy VII Remake, the first part that's come out so far, was really well done. And to say that I'm excited for the next installment, well, that would be a bit of an understatement. The game has wonderful graphics, amazing music, and of course, they make the characters as lovable and wonderful as ever. And I have to say that there were definitely times throughout my playthrough where I was really wondering if this game could be up there with rivaling Persona 5 for me. I will say that after Royal definitely took that spot. However, Final Fantasy VII Remake is definitely up there in my favorite games I've played. And who knows, by the time the entire trilogy is what I think they're going to do with the remakes is done, maybe the series will all in all become the number one spot. I'll go ahead and rad myself out now in saying that I have never played this game. I played Xenoblade Chronicles 2 a long time ago and I wasn't that big of a fan. However, I will say that a lot of people that have gotten into the game have said that Xenoblade Chronicles 1 was vastly superior and it was a major thing that was missing from the Switch. And I felt that it was worthy to be added to this video because, well, they did a lot of work for what could have just been a simple port. They added new content, they made the quality of the game look better. It was all in all a very well put together port. And I think that the game, had a lot of impact for people. I mean, I've heard about the game being talked about a lot, and while I personally am not that into the Xenoblade Chronicles franchise, I definitely think that the announcement and release made a lot of people happy with it. I do plan to play the game down the line, because like I said, I've heard that it's a lot better than 2, but it's not a priority. But hey, who knows, maybe I'll play it and it'll become a favorite of mine. Oh, it's time. So, my favorite game, I'll even go as far as to say my favorite piece of media ever made, Persona 5 Royal. It released at what seemed to be the perfect time. Anyone that's played Persona knows that those games are long, and I like to take my time playing them. I remember beating it at 4 o'clock in the morning, sitting at the credit screen, just looking at it in awe at the experience that I had, and I'm very thankful that I got the chance to experience it. I think it is a masterpiece. The writing is amazing. I think that some of the themes are more complex than most media I've watched, if any, And I think that unfortunately, given the whole anime aesthetic, it's sad that there's a big subsection of people that will write off the game as quote unquote anime trash and never play it. Because while the aesthetic is great and I like it, it's the story that does it for me. There's no story that beats it in terms of theme, and I really love it, and it's definitely been an impactful game. I ended up finishing it at, like I said, 4 in the morning. I platted it at, I think it was like 210 hours, and it has set a high bar for JRPGs, and I definitely look forward to seeing what Atlas does next. I'm sure that many of you that have played Persona are eagerly awaiting the spin-off that is currently locked in Japan, and we're waiting anxiously for its arrival here in the West. But I have to say that to end off this video, I had to end it off with a game that I love, and I think that Persona 5 Royal is, in my personal opinion, the peak of JRPG as a genre. And I think that if you haven't played it, and you have the ability to, please play it. I can't stress this enough. I don't want to push my opinion too heavily, but I don't really have any other way to get the point across other than just saying it is definitely worth it. It's long, and it's a hell of a ride, but I think that anyone that plays it and goes in with an open mind will come out really enjoying the entire game for what it is. But anyway, off that soapbox, I'll end this video saying this. 2020 was a great year for gaming, and unfortunately not for anything else. But I think all in all, it kind of comes to show what gaming is. It is, at its core, an escape, and I think that it does a good job of giving us that distraction that we sometimes need. The world can be a pretty rough place sometimes, and I think having that game and the other worlds to fall back onto and just clear your head and enjoy yourself is a good thing. And I think the more and more time passes, the more games are going to be accepted as a real piece of media that everyone can enjoy no matter who you are. And I'm always here to advocate for that. So anyway, now that that's over, I hope that you all enjoyed the video, and like I said in the last video, I definitely have some more stuff planned for the future, but thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your year.